Hello and welcome back to Wanderer Fragments of Fate and my second video. As promised, they're going to be kept into bite-sized chunks as I share my experiences of my playthrough so that we can end up with hopefully a rounded view of the game as a whole. They're going to be spoiler free, and for that reason I've removed all of the background audio and I've made sure not to include any of the puzzles. So at this point in the playthrough we're not quite at the puzzle element, but the reason I'm capturing it is because we're going to be introduced to the combat mechanics. And if you've looked at the comments, they're not very positive. That being said, this is a puzzle game, kind of escape room, but in open world, so it's not the core of the game. It's not supposed to be blade and sorcery or any of those kind of physics-based games. So yes, it was added. It does feel a little bit flaky, I've got to be perfectly honest, but does it detract from the game? Not really, not at all. So we're just having a look around the environments here, and as you can see, they continue to be quite well populated with interactable objects. So we've got some mechanics of a punch bag there and some weights to lift also. Graphically, we're in slightly bigger areas, but it's still impressive, and the draw distance is really good as well. And the actual world building does make you feel immersed. As you can see here that we are in a flooded Boston in some kind of alternate future. And this section of the game is going to guide us towards our grandfather's apartment. As you can see there that there's some elemental environments there, and we've got a projector here, so I've not been rushing through the game just to be able to get a full review out, as I said on episode number 1. This is me enjoying the game and then uploading videos that I think are actually relevant to the overall experience. So I am a bit further through on the playthrough than this current video, and I will be editing that, so stay tuned because that then focuses upon the all-important puzzle elements. As we said in episode 1, that really is going to be the making or breaking of this type of game. We don't want to be stuck in a room for hours and then getting frustrated until we stumble across a kind of random sequence of events that means that we can say that we've got the 15 hours gameplay. So here comes our first enemy. As you see, it's not unusual for them to rush at pretty much nowhere, and you'll take some damage before you have much chance to do anything about it. But as you also see, they're a bit lightweight in terms of their intelligence, which is a bit of a running theme. So a couple of hits and those enemies will be down. But you know, I'm playing this on the medium difficulty to get a balanced experience. So the combat really isn't central to me. There's melee combat, which we'll see in a moment, but physics-wise, although the tracking even is pretty good, it's not kind of Saints and Sinners type stuff where you almost feel the weight of the objects or they might get embedded into the enemies or anything like that. It does feel a little bit light, if I'm being perfectly honest. There's a rip-off of Bruce Lee in the alternate future. So inventory-wise, we have our backpack and we can store 2 different things in there. And reaching over our shoulder will vary between the 2 of them. We can either break these with our fists, or we can use some objects around the environment, which are actually scattered around really quite well. So there's always something to hand. Pun intended there. So we've got our piece of 2x4. I'm not going to take that with me because this is just introducing us to the core mechanics of the game. So we can drop from fairly high parts of the environment without taking damage, as long as we can see a nice soft cushion landing there at the bottom. So we're now going to experience our first bit of melee combat, and I kind of learnt the hard way how to block. So rather than just holding up the weapon, you need to swing and counteract it. So again, in terms of the physics, it's not... I talked about blade and sorcery, but obviously we should talk about Behemoth as well, and that is kind of leans more into the physics and the AI. So you can see here that I can throw them around. You can see that I'm not very good at juggling. There's not really a sense of weight to any of the objects. So from what I can understand, if the enemies take 2 hits, they're pretty much down, and I guess that's the same for the character. So there'll be a red glow around to indicate that you're damaged, but that doesn't last very long, as long as you avoid taking more damage. Now on to the crouch and sneak mechanic. So you've also got little breakable objects scattered around the environments where you can throw it into an area. As weakly as that was really very poor, and that will mean that the AI go over to have a look, and in theory, and you'll see why I say in theory, you can sneak right past them, but it's been alerted to our presence. Character models of these particular, or these areas at least, because I've not really expanded much onto other ones at the moment, are all pretty much the same. And yeah, I wouldn't describe the combat as challenging, but as we've said, it's really not the core mechanic of the game. I do like to explore just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And as you can see, graphically, it remains impressive, and there's a good draw distance on there. The jumping mechanics can be a little bit hit and miss. And if you are jumping across larger gaps and you don't quite make it, you can't then jump again to get back up, which I will ably demonstrate here. So we're getting a good run up, and actually we didn't get a very good run up there. That would explain why it happened. So I wasn't actually sure, because there are swim mechanics, whether we could get into the water, and for some reason, if we're in the water environments, we can't just grab and pull onto all of the objects. It's got to be a grab point. So I've taken a bit of a run up there to get onto the platform, and that is going to trigger a little sequence of events here where we get told a little bit more of the story, introduced to this character, and then the idea being that we're going to get taken to our grandfather's apartment so that we can learn more about the game and the backstory. So that will just about do it for episode 2 of the series. If you're playing Wanderer and you're enjoying it, or you've got any other comments, then pop them in there. I'll be happy to read them and respond, and I will be back with bits of the game that I think are relevant to the overall experience. But first impressions are that it's a really good, well-polished game that's going to deliver on my expectations. I'll be sure to keep you posted, and if you've watched it all the way to the end, thank you very much. Remember, that subscribe button doesn't cost you anything, and it takes a second. Helps me out more than you know. That's the YouTuber's plea out of the way, and I will see you in the next video.